Yeah, so here we go again. Apologies for all and any background noise. It's bloody hot, so I'll have to have some of the car fans on and the window open. And there is a major road not far from me. In fact, you might be able to see it in the reflection at some point in time today. Hi, I'm Ben. This is my substitute for psychotherapy, solo therapy. I talk to myself about my own issues and upload on the interwebs. Thank you very much for clicking this, and thank you for sticking around if you do. I haven't been shopping today, yet I am here because I've been busy in my mind, very busy. In fact, my mind is rattling all over the place, making a lot of noise, that is. I've had a job interview last Friday, and we did not come to an agreement, but we were really not far from agreement, to the point where it's as close to an agreement as you can be without being within agreement. So it's still on my mind, and yes, I am going to be applying to other places, but I don't know if that's actually sensible. Because first off, well, till May, I'd given in quite a lot to the point where I'd be working for near minimum wage. Then again, I have no job experience, and that's the camera just going off. Sorry for that. Then again, I have next to no job experience. I only have internship experience and a degree. In the end of the day, it all come down to is it an employee market or an employer market, and it seems we both think the market is in our favour, so that's slightly problematic. The interview was at my former place of internship, which means they wouldn't have to get me trained into the systems, and I wouldn't have to get trained into the systems. So that's a benefit for both parties. So I think minimum wage is a pretty hard one. And that's not actually where we struggled with, because I was happy to give in to that just because I need the structure in life. Paying the bills is just benefit, I guess, of getting a job. Privileged me talking here. Yeah, I guess I am rather privileged. Problem was a wage increase next May, for which I wanted about 69 nice euro cents more per hour. Yeah. Which I don't think is that much. Then again, they were not up to agree to it. It hadn't been stated, but I suppose there may have been some misunderstanding. For I would like to continue my education, become a form of electrician, though a limited form. One can do with 2 weeks worth of course, 1 week theory, 1 week practical. And they may have actually offered to pay for it, and I just didn't grasp it at the time. And if they are looking to pay for it, I'm happy to take their offer, I guess. Now it's just a matter of one's worth and showing one is bending over or not, I guess. Assuming that to be the case. Because realistically, with the offer I'd be taking, that 2 week course is not cheap because it's a proper qualification, you know. I'm happy to do the opportunity cost and do it in some of my holidays and the legally entitled holidays for education, which wouldn't be enough for the course by themselves, but overall I'd probably get it sorted. The problem is with the current proposed wage, it'll take me a couple of years saving up to pay for the course, which is really steep. If they are paying for the course, hell, I'm happy, because if one consider that as wage, is way more than what I asked. Admittedly, I went down further than I wanted to. It would actually be around what I would want if they are paying for the course. I'm hoping this have made it on the internet. If you're watching it, thank you very much so. And it have made it on the internet in that case, I guess. Though this might not, because this has opportunity to affect my near future real life, which I guess is meh. In the end of the day, what they are paying to fill the gap that I would be filling permanently, would pay more than a month's of what I would like more starting next May of 2025. What they're paying per day to substitute the role I'd be filling cost more than that. So in the end of the day, I think it's just an ego problem with two egos meeting, me and them. Because in the end of the day, what I want is a bit more than a couple of euros more a day. And they aren't looking to pay them. I am somewhat committed to applying to other places, but I have wondered whether it is sensible to do so, because in the end of the day, I like my former place of internship. I know the people, I know the place, I know the equipment, which no other place can provide me. Then again, I also provide them with this knowledge. For if I start some other place, I cannot provide that knowledge. At least I do not have it for any other place, to my understanding. Which means, realistically, any other employer is going to basically pay me for a couple of months on the promise of future work, which they would not have to do. Then again, I am aware the fact that I have disclosed being legally disabled due to being autistic is a not so great point for the heads of the company. Then again, they haven't mentioned it explicitly, which I appreciate, but I know they know, and I know they're worried about it, because they wouldn't be able to make me redundant easily. Then again, I wouldn't want to work a place I'm not welcome, so. But I am really wondering whether to apply to other places or not, even though I've somewhat committed to it, just because the bureaucracy drains so much energy from me. I'd much rather probably end up taking less pay and start with the structure in my life soon, like who knows, tomorrow, day after, next week, you know. The problem with this now is we both know at this time, or I believe we both know, I believe us both to believe we know, there we go, we need the other, though I also suspect they need me more than I do them. It's just I really don't like the process of applying for jobs, man. So the way it is now, this week, it's currently Tuesday, 10 past 7 in the PM, Tuesday 2024, 09:03. But with this time I'm spending applying for other jobs, it's costing them money and it's costing me money. It's costing me money and opportunity cost, as in money I could be making. And it's costing them money because I'd be cheaper than temporary substitutes. And I'd be little enough cheaper that is worth it for them in the mid to long term. Which again make me wonder whether I would want to work at the place, because that does show some short-sightedness on the employer's side. Which is slightly problematic, because at the end of the day, if they're willing to pay extra money to not promise me a wage increase, which isn't the world in my book, it'd be more symbolic than really mattering, to be fair, at this point, I believe. If they're willing to pay temporary aids, an arm and a leg, to not give me a promise of a wage increase for me starting there at minimum wage, near minimum wage, less than $1 difference a day, that is, and brut, so you know. It's just something I'll have to sort out and think about, but I'm committed to apply to other places because I owe it to my future self. In the end of the day, I wouldn't want to start at this place and spend a few years there at least, and then find out I'm coming to regret it, you know, because that'd just be a bummer. I'm going to close the window, there's people outside talking. So I'm really split on it, I guess. It'd be to everyone's benefit if I could start right away. We're both at this time not budging to make me start right away. to give me the ability to start right away. Which, you know, I mean, in the end of the day is who the bigger person is and who swallow the expense. Then again, it is a company, and I am not promised any stakes in the company. I am not a stakeholder in said company, and I'm not a charity. So that's just something I'll have to sort out, you know. Like, one can't have it all the ways, but if I bend over now, I'm just going to show them, oh yeah, you can bend me over again and again. Admittedly, I have less negotiation power now than I would a couple of years down the road, because we all, that is them and me, know I do one hell of a job. I do good work. Way more than one would expect for minimum wage. And in the past I've done it as intern, where I was below minimum wage because it was a mandatory internship, you know. So but the thing is, I can't justify toward my future self doing a hella good job for someone else's gain and not my own. I mean, that's not how capitalism works. Admittedly, I'm not good at capitalism, which is why I might end up just taking their offer as is currently. But I'm really not good at capitalism, man. And we do live in a capitalist society after all, you know. I reckon I owe it to my future self to send out at least one more application. Perhaps get an interview, perhaps not. That's open for debate, I guess. I'll find out or not. Well, I'll find out. If or not, that is. But I really like this place and the people there. And I don't need to be onboarded. Which means they also do not need to onboard me, which is to everyone's benefit. And that is a benefit no one else has, or I can provide anyone else. Another aspect which, in my eyes, shows short-sightedness on the company's side, to some degree, is the idea of, I'd done the inventory after my internship as free unpaid labourer just for funsies, because I was not allowed to make money due to the student loan / grant scheme known as BAföG in Germany. Half loan, half grant, maximum loan of 10.5 grand, no interest. But due to that, I was not allowed to earn money, which means I'd done the inventory free. Now, to the short-sightedness of the company, or the heads of the company, I don't know how they plan on doing the next inventory if I'm not working there. For the other person who have done inventories in the past, no longer work there. And I haven't worked there since before I did the last inventory. Which means they're going to have to figure it all out, and for them apparently is dreadsome. Whereas for me it's a pleasure, so one would think it's a win-win, you know, but you know. Another way I could go, but I really don't wanna, is self-employed and offer to do services like inventorying or aid or temporary aid for singular days at theirs, and other places, to be fair. But that's not something I'd be looking to do just because my dad was self-employed, and hell, I wouldn't be able to deal with that bureaucratically, that is. So, considering I don't see self-employment as an option, my options now are my former place of internship or another rental. I have a short list of 2 more rentals and film I need to apply at least one of which I will before I consider taking their offer as is. And one in general stage equipment, not particularly film, but a lot of the equipment is the same, so I'm happy to, you know, to me there's no big difference. If I count books or lights, don't make a difference to me. And if I count lights which are for one purpose or lights which are for another purpose, makes even less a difference to me. I just feel like I'm in an employment limbo, not as in the actual limbo, which I've spent surprisingly little time in recent past, but my future is in limbo, I guess. There we go, that's a thumbnail. Thank you very much for sticking around watching this, by the way. It means the world to me. I have a strong suspicion I'll end up there, even if I do successfully apply at other places. Question then is, do I end up there on my conditions or on theirs? I can say the heads of the company I was negotiating with last Friday at my interview, they're hella shrewd negotiators, and they're shrewder than I am, for I've already budged more than I had aimed to, and budging a little more wouldn't make a world's difference to me. Besides the symbolic meaning of showing them I am to be bent over. Don't smoke, smoking kills. But the showing them I am to be bent over, in the end of the day, that's just gonna, even if not spoken out so, even though I'm speaking it out here and they might see this if so, hello there, it'll just make it a less bilateral relationship. It won't be unilateral, for I'll still be there and they'll still have me, but it'll be less bilateral, as in if someone else make an offer down the road, I'm way more likely to accept it, just because they've shown they care more about the bottom line than me as an individual and what I can do to that bottom line. They don't believe in me and have some short-sightedness. Then again, this is all speculation. I don't know what's going on in their heads. And it might not be short-sightedness. It might very well be they considered all this and they decided, oh, we know humans well enough, Ben will fold. He'll have folded by the end of the month, which I most certainly will have, assuming I don't get better offers anywhere else. And considering I don't need onboarding there, it's hard for anyone else to make me better offers. Then again, considering they've offered me minimum wage for the next 7 months, 8 months, it's not that hard to make a better offer either. And I believe I do a good job. I mean, I know I do a good job. I have the self-esteem to say so these days. The problem is I'm not good at selling stuff, and I am of that stuff. I am not a salesperson. I do not aim to work in sales. But no matter where I work, I have to sell myself. And I guess that's just kind of, you know. I mean, even if they reach out now and they say, okay, we'll accept your conditions and we'll pay your continued education to be a limited electrician. The correct term is Elektrofachkraft für festgelegte Tätigkeiten. There you go. That's a German mouthful of a qualification. Basically means you're electrician, but maximum 1000 volt AC, 1500 DC, and below that you can do just about anything. Even if they say, okay, we'll pay you what you wanted starting next May, and we'll pay that, it'll still leave an odd aftertaste in my mouth, figuratively, because they didn't say so right away, which either means short-sightedness on their end, or that they thought they could get away with valuing me less than I am. Then again, same applies the other way around if I give in for them. The only difference is they can't complain about my short-sightedness because I'd only be the employee. I would not be dependent. They would not be dependent on me being economically persistent, whereas the employee, or I, is dependent on the company being economically persistent, because otherwise, well, company no longer a job, you know. That's just some slight asymmetry to the whole thing. But all in all, I know very much so I'd regret if I were to not apply to another place. It's just absolute nightmare for me to apply any place, and this is now the third place I've applied my former place for internship. But I also know applying to another place is unlikely to change the dynamic between my former place for internship and me. Which is kind of, I mean, it might very well be another place say, oh yeah, we've heard of you, because I know some of them have. I have references. I have that to my name at least, I guess. I have references going back 14 years, man, and I'm only 25 years of age. And all of them are as good as they could be, because I know I do a good job. Because I do a good job. Which I have the balls to say these days, which I'm happy about, Then again, if that was perhaps just a miscommunication, and in fact they are up for paying my continued education, and all the rest of their offer remain as is, but they're up for paying for my continued education, I'd probably take it starting tomorrow. The thing is, they never made that very clear to me. We established I'd probably take some holidays to do so, but they never established they'd pay for it. And with the wage they've offered this time, I wouldn't be able to pay for it. So, meh. Then again, I have a foot in the door there. And I am inexperienced as in a labourer. I have done an internship, I have my degree, and I have a lot of good references, but I have no practical labour experience, besides internship and references. It might very well not be a bad offer they've given me. It's just, I feel I'm worth it, More than that is. Our offers are really not far apart. I mean, for me, it'd be half a tank of diesel starting 5th month, so middle of quarter 2 of 2025. Next year, it'd be half a tank's diesel in money that I see more. And by then, it'll only be a quarter tank of diesel because the prices keep rising. Then again, diesel price has been fairly low recently, so I can't really complain. I'm just kind of all over the place with this, and sorry for not having a continuous story here or issue. It's just I am ill-decided, and my brain is all over the place. Another thing is, with my former place for internship, I've talked about it previously, but they had the opportunity to make me an offer before I applied any place, and I would have taken just about any offer at that time. They did not make an offer, which again I believe to be perhaps short-sightedness, perhaps calculatedness, but haven't saved maybe a month's of me expense worth. They'll be spending more in that time on replacing what I would have cost, so on what I would have done. So it's really just a hard call, and I have a high suspicion, or somehow the gut feeling is not a suspicion, it's just a feeling, that them not making an offer beginning of the month was simply a move in this game of chess. I like playing chess for funsies. I don't like playing it competitively because I'm not that great at it. Both is true for the game of chess and for the analogy of chess. So I don't know. Today's drink of choice, by the way, because it's bloody warm. In fact, it's 34.5 degrees centigrade, and we're stood in the shade. Today's drink of choice is tap water. I have this in a bottle I taped and put a tape strap on, so I can carry it on my shoulder because I've been going for somewhat regular walks in the recent past. When I say somewhat regular walks, probably walking 20k a week or so. It's been on the decline, but that's just because my mind is hella preoccupied at this time. Not in the best place mentally, but I could certainly be in a worse place. I mean, I graduated, so I'm happy with that. You've already heard about that. If not, in the last session, I believe that was number 180. Fuck, I've been doing this a long time. My therapist is busy growing another human, so here I am, you know.
Recording. 3 channels started.
Recording. 3 channels started. Currently the car is on the road. Evidently I am here and this is not where I live. Surprise, even if it were, I would not say to not dox myself. But I believe it's been established this is not where I live. It's in fact far side of town. But the car is only mostly legal on the road. It is tolerated, but it hasn't had a general inspection for the past 3 days now. Well, 2 days, 19 hours and 28 minutes. I will have to get one of those done within the next couple of months, and that'll set me back best part of £1,000. I currently have the money, and I have the money for next month's rent, which is why I'm not too fussed about getting a job yesterday. But I also shouldn't be slacking too hard. Just something we'll have to sort, you know. We left the interview, my former place for internships, heads, and me, with me saying, "No, I'll send you the course details for educate myself to become a limited electrician." I'll just call it limited electrician for the sake of ease. Strictly speaking, is electro professional for limited actions. I don't know. Guess that's the correct translation. But they never responded to that email. In fact, they never even responded to my application email. I only got word of the interview through my former head of internship, who happens to be below them hierarchically. They're only one step down. It's just something I'll have to figure out, you know. Because, hell, I mean, if they're paying for the education, that's more than I had asked for in wage increase. It's just that I'd be having a bill paid instead of getting the money, which, again, works to everyone's benefits, because as a company, they can write it off of income, and I do not have to pay taxes on it for income. Then again, I'd also be able to write it off for taxes for income because it's education. But they also have other expenses such as health insurance and so on that go on with money that I get. If the employer pay something, I end up getting. We'll both end up saving money because there's less health insurance and which is proportional to income. So if it's not income, it's not part of health insurance, you know. That's just something I'll have to sort though. In the end of the day, I have written an application by this Friday for one other major place, in one other major rental in this city. I believe I owe it to my future self. But I don't know if I'll end up accepting if they make an offer, and if they can even match the offer, which in my opinion is pretty abysmal, for my former place for internship, because it's not a great offer in my book. Then again, I have no benchmarks. I don't know what would make a good offer. The only benchmark I have is minimum wage, which is per definition a bad offer, because it is the minimum, and I believe it is the minimum not in the way that the speed limit is a maximum speed, but it is actually a minimum, as in it cannot be passed to below. That's just something we'll have to sort, you know. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching this and sticking around and watching me ramble. Perhaps next time I talk I'll have a job, either at the place I'm applying next at or at my former place of internship, who knows. Perhaps I won't. See you around. Hope you got a job you're happy with, that is. Stay safe, see you around, cheerio.